Opportunity High School, presented by Chef Guerra and Carmen Gomez. This session will be recorded so that you may come back to it later if you need, and so others who may have missed out on today's events will be able to come back and watch it. Thank you for joining us today. So at this time, we ask that you please mute your mics for the best sound experience. Otherwise, that feedback could interfere with the information we'll be sharing today. Without further ado, here is our first presenter.
All right. Well, thank you all for having us. We appreciate the invitation. We've been working really hard at getting the word out about Opportunity High School and building the program. I'm happy to report that we have nearly reached our goal of 30 students for this fall semester. I think at last count we were at 28 students. Unfortunately, we've had a few students drop out, so we've only had like 2 or 3 that have dropped so far. So 10% is what we've lost. But to report even better, we've actually had more increases in the number of students that have found success. So we've seen about 6 students that have already completed their high school diploma portions through the college. So we'll be awarding our first diplomas in May. So we're looking forward to that. So I'm Daniel Guerra. I'm the Dean over Communication and Performing Arts here at Valle Verde campus, and I will have a co-presenter. Carmen, if you'd like to introduce yourself, we'll dedicate a slide to you coming up soon, but just so everybody knows as they're watching, they're following along.
Yes, of course, Dean Guerra. My name is Carmen Gomez. I'm one of the assigned counselors at the Trans Mountain and also lead for this program. Thank you for the opportunity for us to be in here.
Awesome, thank you. And then, all right, I have control of the slides. Awesome. Okay, so we kind of wanted to see who all is in our group here. So we are sure that somebody out there in the audience knows of someone who does not have a high school diploma or a GED. I know there's some folks out there that have GEDs and have expressed interest in doing the high school diploma as well. So just if we can see a raise of hands, if you know somebody, and I'll share some scary statistics that we learned as we opened up Opportunity High School. There's about 30,000 individuals within our region who could benefit from this program by getting the Opportunity High School diploma here at EPCC. So that's also been pretty interesting to learn about. Also, another thing that I faced a lot when I was in culinary, being a chef, lots of folks aren't really aware of career and technical education. Sometimes we market that and advertise it as career-ready programs. So it's something that you do your degree here at the college, and most of those credits do not transfer to most colleges and universities within Texas. So CTE programs, you're going to hear that pretty often throughout the show here. And then we'll talk about why education is important for these folks as we go through. So I think we're going to dive right in now. And so where did this come from? This actually came a few years ago, embedded in House Bill 8, a very small section. That's our funding bill. So some of you might remember we used to get paid by individuals registered in our classes by the state, and now we actually are paid by performance-based funding. So if we don't have those students finish a degree or some sort of an award, then we don't get any funding for them from the state. So that's a little bit, makes it a little bit more challenging, right? Because we see that students face challenges and hurdles, and it makes it difficult for them to finish sometimes, or it extends that time to graduation. So as we look at Opportunity High School, it's created so that our students are taking the high school program as well as some sort of CTE program, and it's there so that they can basically, the way that I framed it to the students is, we want to build your resume. We want to build it so you have a high school diploma on there. We want to build it so you have some sort of award, whether that's an award that leads to a licensure, if it's an occupational skill award, or if it's a certificate, level 1 or 2. And then we're hoping that they'll continue to stack on to those awards if they get an OSA, or if they get a certificate, that they'll build up to that associate's degree at some point. And so it's a co-enrolled program. The Opportunity High School portion is completely online and self-paced, and it matters to help those students find more gainful employment. So the numbers show that, you know, the less education you have behind you, the less you ultimately earn. And so we want to get those students to build up those resumes and build up their bank accounts, honestly, so they can have a little bit more upward socioeconomic mobility. And then, like I said, OHSD is located online. So we work very closely with Mr. Mata and his team. They do great work for us with the Tejano Flex program in making sure that our students are keeping up with the requirements. Like I said, they've seen great success with 6 completers thus far. So like we talked about, I'm the dean over the program. So my background is in CTE. I actually graduated from culinary arts here at the college. Like I said, most of those courses did not transfer over to UTEP, so I had to finish my bachelor's over at NMSU, and that continued my background in hospitality. It was hospitality, restaurant, tourism management. And then now as a dean, I'm overseeing some programs that are considered CTE. So we have our advertising graphics design program, and in there we created a new certificate for a social media and digital marketing specialist. As we go through, we also created a music technology, and we just got notification earlier this month that we did get approved for a new program for students to learn how to work on sets and make films. So we are continuing to build this division with a little bit more CTE focus. That's something that definitely the legislator is pushing, and again, tying back to our funding. So a lot of these are one-year certificates that we can get funding for as students complete these. As we talk about funding, just so you know, like, yes, if they get the high school diploma, we get funded. If they get the OSA or certificate, we also get funded as well. So I'm going to turn it over to Carmen, who's based out at Trans Mountain, and she can give you a little bit of the information from the counseling aspect of things and her background in competency-based education.
Thank you, Guerra. And you forgot you mentioned that you are currently seeking your doctoral program in leadership studies, huh?
Yes, thank you. I am.
Yes, very soon, Dr. Guerra. Well, like I said previously, my name is Carmen Gomez, and I serve as a counselor here at the Trans Mountain campus, where I advise students not only to my traditional students, but also I'm the counselor assigned for the early college high school program. I also serve, like I mentioned before, as the lead counselor for the competency-based education and also the opportunity high school diploma programs. So just like Dean Guerra, my educational journey began here at EPCC as well. In my times and my days, a few years back, with the completion of my GED. Okay, from there I continued my studies, associates, a bachelor's, and then I earned my master's degree in counseling. So with that experience shapes the way I support our students today. I understand firsthand that educational pathways are not always traditional, but they are always possible. So along with the team, dedicated counselors, faculty, and the Tejano Flex assigned to each campus, we are here to assist our students through admissions, registration, and every step of their academic journey. So you can see we have assigned counselors at Valle Verde, Ms. Derek Puente, she's located there. Ms. April Perales, she's at the Mission del Paso. Ms. Astrid Arciniega, she's located at the Northwest campus, and Jesus Garcia at Rio Grande campus. So as you can see, it's very fortunate that we are able to have counselors at each campus to help our students complete the high school diploma. So if we can go to the next slide, please. Okay, so who Opportunity High School Diploma serves? Well, this program is designed, to serve our adult learners who have discontinued their traditional high school education, and now they are seeking a state-recognized high school diploma. So some of the requirements will be they have to be, over 18, and the reason saying is because most of the independent school districts offer recovery programs. So if that program do not work for them, then they have the option to come and take the diploma with us. So they will be, like I said, over 18. They haven't completed the high school diploma or the GED. And sometimes students, prefer earning the actual high school diploma. So sometimes they need it for employment, military enlistment, or just career advance. So some of the career-focused learners, they will simultaneously take the high school class alone. They will need to be enrolled in a career and technical education. And we're going to show you some of the classes. It has to be concurrent enrollment to be accepted. And then also, usually these are adults. They will be balanced working and coming to school. So we understand, parents feeling the need to return and complete their education, and they may benefit from flexible competency-based instructional models, like we were saying about the CVE courses, which are self-paced and they are online. So in the next slide, we are going to be looking about some of the benefits. These are great benefits. One of the biggest benefits that the students earn, they will actually get the high school diploma awarded by EPCC. Note that a GD is not, as same as important, like in my case, but many employers in certain career pathways, the distinction for them matters. So what makes this program unique? Well, is that the students not only complete the high school requirements, but also they are able to complete a CTE program. Okay, so that means they are gaining workforce skills and the industry certification as they complete that diploma. And some of them will be, just to mention, culinary arts, welding, heating, ventilation, for the health profession, nursing, just to mention some. They receive support services. We are a dedicated group, and we support our students through the process from admissions to registration and for academic planning. So there is a guidance for every step. So the goal is not just complete the high school, but it's also stockable credentials. You see, students build the certificates or degrees in particular discipline over time to earn high-level degrees. Again, some examples I will mention, maybe computers, automotive, when we have certificate 1 year, certificate 2 years, or the associates, the culinary arts, and also cosmetology. So those are programs that they can continue. And again, the goal is to prepare the students to sustainable employment, career advancement, and continue education. You might want to continue with next slide.
Okay, I was going to stop real quick because we do have a couple of questions. So the first one says self-paced, asynchronous. That is correct. And then the respondus lockdown or testing center. So that's basically at the discretion of the instructor. So the testing center is definitely not embedded in the courses. So we want this to be able to be done at home. Some instructors are using respondus lockdown, but some of them are not. And I'll give you an example of that when we get into the English. They're going to write their essays independently. They're not going to sit in a respondus lockdown browser to complete the essay. And the same thing might hold true in the workforce skills, but it's going to be different for each one. I think the math is a respondus lockdown course. And then I think that answers the questions. Good questions. If anybody has any, don't hesitate to put them in the chat or stop us as we go along. Okay, and then so this one, we talked about my background is in hotel, restaurant, tourism management, and we found, and I'm going to say we because we had the team here at Valle Verde. Carmen came in, Tarek was there, Jesus was there. We had another counselor from Mission at the time helping us, and we sat there and kind of helped the students out with filling out their registration forms, getting them through admissions, evaluating transcripts, and letting them know what they needed. We did this all in a large classroom. We went through a presentation with them as well, walked through everything, and then we took them down to admissions, and then the admissions folks were kicking them back to us. And so, so those of you that travel know that sometimes when you want to get to, let's say, Florida, you might have to travel to Denver first, right? And kind of give the student the runaround like that. So we've found lots of barriers that the college is imposing on its own. And so we've kind of been a little bit more proactive in helping the students get through those barriers. So we were walking directly with them down to admissions, getting the forms filled out, getting them to get accepted into the college, getting their ID numbers, all that fun stuff, putting in the classes that they needed with our admissions team, and then getting them enrolled in that OHSD section as well. So we were there physically on hand, meeting with students, getting them done, trying to skip that run around. Doing the information session with them was great. We were able to meet with them one-on-one. We learned about different life things that have happened to them or that they feel like stopped them from being able to go to school, and kind of reassured them. Things as little as I was missing my TOS test back in 1990 something, right? And we were helping them get through the high school portion with us. That student has already successfully completed. I registered for OHSD but didn't get an OHSD section. We've had that happen too. So again, this is why we want to do these information sessions. If anybody out there thinks this is great, I really would like more information, we're happy to do these types of things and work with teams. First year experience is another area we want to start working with to address some of these concerns that come up. And we've worked with partners all over the place. So the county has been a big partner, and then just kind of put that question out to the teams and say, okay, what if you were given that runaround and these were the obstacles you were facing? What would you do next, right? Like this is not an easy thing for students to come in, and we're talking, you know, folks that are 40 plus years old coming back to school to get a high school diploma. That's a big step. That's a major life change for them coming back over 20 years later, right? So we want to be supportive and kind of cut down some of these obstacles and hurdles that we put in for them. Again, there's a list of some of those school districts, the programs and projects that we've been working along with throughout the region. All right, and then our curriculum team. So right now, these are the actual instructors for these sections. We'll go over the curriculum a little bit more in depth and talk about what's required for each one of those. And so a student does not have to necessarily complete all of these sections. Like I said, the counselors have been fantastic in evaluating transcripts and determining what courses do need to be completed. Starting over the summer, we'll start offering another 30 cohort of 30 with new faculty teaching the section. So we want another set of eyes to look through and kind of see what the classes are like, what they're about. And again, I'm kind of trying to get another perspective, right? So all of these folks teach higher ed. They might teach dual credit. And so I want that perspective more so of an instructor that teaches high school level courses as well. So all of these folks teach for the college, not for an independent school district. So I'm working with some of our dual credit faculty who teach that high school portion at that level so they can give us another perspective. Like I said, Fernie and Andrea have been fantastic. They have been reaching out to the students. They get an awesome email when they complete. It's like Friday afternoons. It's the end of the day and my good vibes for the day when I see those emails and I'm blind copied on and they're congratulating the student, letting them know they need to get back in touch with their counselor because they may need to take another section or they might be completely done. So they need to follow up with their counselor to make sure that things are moving in the right direction. We walk them through the steps. So first step, we try to get them to come on campus so that we can engage them personally, face to face. Sometimes that's not always possible. So we tell them, go ahead and start on the Apply Texas website and we'll work through the hurdles and obstacles. Sometimes the website loses the application for a student. So again, these are things that we try to avoid. So that's why we focus on come in, we'll walk you through these steps. We'll take you over to admissions and get you set up. I'm also happy to report that we have up to $2,500 in scholarships for those 30 students this semester. And we're rearranging some funds to hopefully be able to stretch that out a little bit further. Our goal with this first cohort that are taking credit classes is for them to complete 6 credit hours. Once they complete those 6 credit hours, they can fill out the FAFSA form and they can be eligible for financial aid through the ability to benefit. So even if they haven't completed that high school portion, which is a requirement of FAFSA, the state of Texas is actually working together with all of its colleges to embed that ability to transfer so that students can get that next step after those 6 credit hours. They are going as far as even tasking us to find ways to fund those 6 credit hours so that students will be FAFSA eligible following the successful completion of those courses. So we have some students in the pipeline right now that starting in the summer, they could be eligible for FAFSA and again in the fall. So the ones that have graduated, obviously those folks are already ready to apply and can get financial aid very soon. So that $2,500 is allowed not just per semester, depends on the program that they're in. And I will pick on nail technology a little bit because those are 5-week sessions. So those students enroll for 5 weeks and it costs them the first 5 weeks $1,500. The very next 5 weeks cost them another $1,500. So the state has allowed us to say that that is their term. Those classes are 5-week terms. And so we're allowed to spend up to $2,500 per term per student. So we can get them through those first 2 sections, and then they'll get into the third section, which is a significantly cheaper rate of $400 because they pay for a kit in the first 2. So as they're paying for that kit, we can invest in the student, let them get to that point so that they can find that gainful employment through nail technology. Some of them are even on a waiting list so that they can do cosmetology. So it just depends on what the student's looking for, and we try to help them out, meet their needs. We're developing those personal educational plans and getting them through the door. We ask them for their transcripts. Those are huge for us, especially the high school transcripts. We need those to go through and give them credit for what they've already completed. Those even, we can even take GED transcripts. We've had students that bring in both sets so we can get them as much credit as possible. And we have not, thank God, I'm gonna knock on wood, had very many issues with meningitis vaccines, but or the waivers. So sometimes that does happen and creates another obstacle, but we're trying to be proactive in getting the students this information before they ever get to that close part of coming in. Carmen, I just saw that you lowered your hand. Is there something you want to step in and say?
Yes, in the previous slide, Guerra, I just would like to add that even though we are providing the applytexas.org, I would recommend to do it preferably in person. And just because when you submit the application with the admissions person assisting you, you need to specify, the student needs to specify they are interested in doing the Opportunity High School Diploma, so the student is coded correctly in the system. Sometimes if they apply online, or if they don't say, I'm interested in doing the OHSD program, they're gonna be listed as a graduate high school students, and obviously they are gonna require the high school diploma. So doing it in person and mentioning the student is interested on this one will eliminate, you know, the problem. Obviously, they are gonna need to provide the identification, the age verification, and then the transcript. And again, we also will require a hard copy when they meet with a counselor so we can evaluate. So that was the only thing that I wanted to share. So we can go on.
Great. Yes, thank you. Good point. And that's some other things that we've faced on the admission side of things is that we've found that we needed to create the Opportunity High School as a major for students to be able to enroll in that. And then we've also had to create a new major for those students that are actually trying to enroll in classes, in programs that are applied health, like ranking, nursing. They might need to rank for patient care technician, the pharmacy. These are all popular programs that students have asked for, but they have to have that high school diploma before they even get into those programs. So they are in the meantime taking courses that might be developmental English or math. They might be ranking in an English class. So it just depends on their certain set of circumstances and how we can help them out and get them through. Okay, very good.
There is a question.
Yes, I see the question. So are there any alternatives if a student can't retrieve their transcripts? So basically at that point, I think we're starting at ground zero, and that would mean they'd have to do all 5 sections. We would not be able to give them credit. And I think we've experienced that sometimes with those students that have completed high school in Mexico. We've seen that it's been a little bit more difficult for them to get their transcripts over for us.
Yeah, but I mean, even if they have to do the 5 competencies, it will be very convenient. 5 courses, work at your own pace online versus, 4 years that you had to spend in high school as a traditional education. Still very convenient.
Yeah, it's very true. And so it kind of leads into the next one, right? Because we're talking about entry is variable. So some of these classes, they, like I said, they start 5-week sections. They have classes that start at mini-mesters. So it just depends on what program they're going for the CTE. And so with that, we've been very flexible on the high school side. So like we talked about, we had students finishing classes as soon in the high school side, as soon as 3 weeks in. And so we've told those students that need another section, all right, we're going to register you. It's going to be a late registration, but we're going to put you in there so that you can take the next section and hopefully get you either closer or completely done with the high school portion so they can turn around and focus on their CTE major instead. So these classes are actually set up, the OHSD classes are set up as CE or continuing education courses. They're run out of the Language Institute, and we're setting them up on full 16-week semesters or the 10-week summers. So students will have those options. We might look at in the fall, maybe offering a 16-week semester and an 8-week semester in case students do finish very quickly and they want to enroll for a second section in the second mini-mester. We can also accommodate that. So we're really trying to be flexible in getting these students across the finish line for the high school portion. I've seen tons of enthusiasm from the students that have participated, and they finish these OHSD sections very quickly. And their mindset is, I want to finish the high school part so I can focus in on my program. So we're very happy to see that. Like we talked about, the transcripts and the documentation has been one of the common barriers that we find. Scheduling too, that's kind of been a bit of an issue. Sometimes these students come to us at the last minute, right in the 9th hour of registration. Week 1, Carmen and I are trying to figure out which class can we put them in. They're trying to do this program, and sometimes we just end up putting them into those sections that they can rank, or they can start working on their English skills. I don't want folks to come across thinking that OHSD students have a deficit, because we've already seen that some of these students test in TSI and pass it. So I don't want folks to have that negative connotation about these students. These students are perfectly capable. They've probably already worked out in the workforce. They know how to communicate, and so they can pass these sections, and depending on their jobs, they could probably also pass the math part too. So we want to keep that positive mentality when we're working with these students and coming across them, but also recognizing that they may be a while since they've been in high school, and transitioning back into education, and imagine that transitioning back into education from a secondary and a post-secondary mindset and frame, and building that back up. And so we want to be positive and give those students the affirmation that yes, you belong here, yes, you can get that done. So we again are trying to work over some of these barriers and build that confidence for these students. So we've had board and accrediting requirements. The state has requirements. In some cases, the state has already been kind of proactive and removed some of these requirements. So like I said, if somebody wanted to do the pharmacy technician, they wouldn't be able to if they don't have the high school component completed yet, but they could do a CE alternative program that can get them going. We also have seen that nail technology was another one that has if you look in the book, the CE book, they will not let students register for their program unless they have a high school diploma. Well, we found out that the state dropped that requirement a couple of years ago. So we've been able to move forward and enroll students into that section. So it's been a great learning experience for us. We keep on finding things that students face, and we keep on trying to find solutions to move them forward and hopefully build some momentum so they can get across that finish line. Is there anything you wanted to add, Carmen, before I go to the next one?
No, Didier, I think you covered it all. Very good.
All right. So registration and records, this has been another one of those areas that we've worked in developing and building. We had to create the new classes for the CE. They went to the board. Right now, those classes, if a student wanted to come in and pay for them, they are running about $220 per class on the high school side. But again, this going down the future, we might be able to look at lowering that cost to the student, just because the return of investment will be there. We're not worried about this program losing money. There's so many people in our population that could benefit from this, and so we think we could definitely build a program for these students that's feasible, that will meet their needs. The classifications, like I said, they have to declare the OHSD as a major, and they have to enroll in both the CTE and the OHSD. One of those students that we had to unfortunately drop, we dropped because the instructor dropped them on the CTE side, and then we can't let them continue the OHSD as part of the grant. This is all paid for through a grant with the Higher Education Coordinating Board. So we cannot allow that student to continue on with the high school portion. The whole purpose is to get them trained for the workforce with that high school diploma, both hand in hand. The enrollment status, we've seen that that's correct, yes. So they have to pick a CTE major, and it can be automotive or something like that. We've had students that are a little bit on the fence sometimes, and so they might dip their toe in one class in, let's say, automotive and one class in social media, just depending on what it is that they think they want to participate in. So the financial implications for us is that we've invested that money. So those students that have dropped, we don't have any return on investment to the college. And so it's a little bit more difficult to kind of justify if they come back to us and say, hey, I want to do this again. So going forward, starting in the summer, we are going to let students know that this is a scholarship, but if they drop, they're going to be liable for the expenses. So what will happen is that the college will take that money back into the grant and award it to another student so that we are not losing money that the state has given us to help somebody that really wants to do it, that wants to come in, put their head down, knock out their high school diploma and some sort of award with us and finish and make that line across the finish line, right? The completion. And then the diploma and transcripts. So the diploma part and the transcripts are both in the works. I have a meeting with Dr. Amaya, Dr. Escamilla, and Dr. La Chica Chavez coming up to see how we could recognize these OHSD students. They may not walk at our traditional commencement session, but we might be looking at getting them something like a sash or something, a stole, so that when they do graduate with that certificate of completion or associate's degree, and again, this is hopefully something that's going to light that fire for them and keep them wanting to get to that next step, they can wear that when they walk, and they'll be recognized as OHSD graduates. We definitely want to do something for our first class, celebrate them, maybe have a nice dinner, and we'll get Dr. Serata to foot the bill, right? And hopefully get them across that finish line and keep promoting them to keep stacking those credentials. And then the OHSD transcript will look a little bit different. The state gives high schools unique identification numbers, and they have indicated that they will not be doing that for this program. We are in partnership with 4 other schools throughout the state, and everybody's running their own type of program. Some schools are limiting which CTE programs they allow these students to enroll in. I have not wanted to do that. I want to see kind of where our students are really looking at getting in. I think right now the big ones have been kind of our welding, our health, allied health and nursing. And I think those have been really the big ones. We've had a few students that are looking at the child development, that look at at teacher prep. So I think those are the big ones, and naturally we'll have some outliers of programs that students want to participate in. Carmen, did you want to add anything? Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I just want to add that it will be nice. Yes, I agree to have some type of ceremony, like private ceremony for this specific group of students, because completing their high school diploma, it has been their dream. So just like we have special reunions or celebration for the GED students, or in the past, it used to be also for the ESOL. I'm not sure if they continue doing it, but they also do it for vocational nursing, and that will be something that they will like to have. So, but we'll see what the meeting comes in.
Absolutely, yes, and I will.
Patricia, just a question: can they graduate with a high school diploma with the associate's degree? Yes, of course. That's going to be the first step, to graduate with a high school diploma, so that way they can continue with their education, either a certificate or an associate's degree. And then the collaboration, it is very important. The HSAD team not only includes counselors, it also well, obviously that Tejano Flex is part of us, but the success relies on a network, of the counselors, the Tejano Flex Learning, the staff, the faculty, very important, the CTE, the different departments, coordinators for those programs, obviously our admissions office and registrars, the financial aid, the support services, and one of them, tutoring, very, very important. In our counseling, because if we all work together to provide, the academic, the technical, and career guidance for the students, they are going to be successful in life, and pretty soon will incorporate as a active and positive to the society, and obviously to improve their lives. And the next slide, Guerra, I don't know, you want to add something about the institutional impact?
Sure. So to kind of answer that question, right, we're aware of that being a possibility, that a student graduates with that high school diploma and never ultimately finishes the CTE portion, which we've come to terms with that, I guess you could say. But we're really looking at bringing in students that want to do the two. Since we talked about that performance-based funding from House Bill 8, the baseline for every high school diploma that we award is $3,500. But if you look at the very bottom right-hand corner of that table, you'll see that our students can earn us up to $7,000 per student. So let's say that we do get 5 or 6 of these students to finish, we're looking at up to about $50,000 in funding in this first cohort. And to be really transparent and frank, it's cost the college nothing to input this in place, because the coordinating board gave us the grant to build everything. So all the course developments have been done by our faculty team. The Tejano Flex program is in there to help build that, which is already in there. And then again, don't this is again where we want them to keep on stacking, right? Because let's say that they do an OSA or an occupational skills award, that again would be another opportunity for the college to earn some funding. If they stack on that and they say, okay, let's do a certificate level 1, fantastic. Another opportunity if there's a certificate level 2 in there as well. And then the last one would be that associate's degree. So we have these areas that can definitely build that funding for the college. And I kind of want to make sure that we're aware of that as an institution, because we, again, don't want to have these barriers for the students. We want to make it so that we are supporting them across that finish line, because that's when we see that funding come through. We get that funding come through, and then we're going to be able to build the program, serve more students, and build other programs, right? Our CTE programs will grow from there. So our folks over in registration are working and admissions and coding everything, like we talked about, making sure they're reported at OHSD students. And then when they finish, we make sure to report all that information over to the state to make sure that we get that funding to keep supporting the program, the faculty, the staff, everybody that's involved in doing these things and celebrating those wins that we get. So there are 2 more spots open. Could someone get in the program now? So I will defer to Carmen. I know, Carmen, I think you've talked about having 1 student in the waiting for the mini-mester 2. I don't know if you have any more than that. Waiting.
Yes, sir. For mini-mester 2, yes, I have a student, and that's what I was emphasizing about the state ID, very important. The student has been advised. I have his transcripts and everything. Unfortunately, he misplaced his driver license. So for that reason, he hasn't been able to register for the classes. I called him today, and admissions informed me that if he has his passport, which he does, he's going to be able to register for the class.
Oh, great.
So, so if somebody's interested and there's no space right now for mini-mester 2, don't forget, Monday we are going to start registering for summer. So that can be the next cohort for summer 2.
Exactly. So yeah, so I know we were close, so I would say that we're probably cut off for the rest of this semester, but we can definitely start the ball, and I'm encouraging everybody to start now. Start registering now, build the schedule that you want for the summer, and I'm talking more for the CTE side, because sometimes students come to us and tell us, you know what, I really just want to do online. I'm not going to be able to drive to school every day. I have family, I have work obligations. I'm not going to be able to do that. So we want to make sure they get the schedules that they're looking for and support them. And some of these programs are so in demand that they don't have spaces available. And so we want to make sure that we set them up as best as possible for success. Good questions. Keep them coming as we go through. You want to do this one, Carmen?
Yes, sir. So we have been talking about the competencies and all that, right? So the Opportunity High School D program typically is structured with 5 competencies, okay? So this will ensure the students not only complete the diploma, but also prepare for college, for careers and life. So these competencies will focus on academic mastery, personal development, and career readiness. So once the counselors evaluate the transcript, we will determine which competencies the student will need to complete. So that the HANO-FLEX learning team is here to support our students. Even though the classes are online, students not alone. The CBE advisors check throughout the course to help the students stay in track. Tutors are available to assist with the coursework and how to navigate Brightspace. This is a different platform in difference between Blackboard. On this one, the Brightspace and the courses are flexible. It's a way to earn their credits, and they work on their own pace. Again, it's open, the material, so if they work ahead of time, they can finish as fast as 3 weeks, like Dean Guerra was saying. So, and again, those are depending on the transcript, we are gonna determine what sections they are gonna need and what classes they are gonna be taking. We have some students already ready to complete in May. They have been contacting me. Okay, Ms. Gomez, do I need anything else? No, you're gonna be done. Oh, so when I'm gonna receive my diploma, or how's that gonna be working? This is everything very new. So, but hopefully we have a small ceremony. And in the next slide, Dean Guerra is gonna talk a little bit more in detail about each section.
All right, so I have been framing this to these students that for the most part, as long as they got through their junior year of high school, it's probably going to be fairly quick for them to finish their high school portion with us. As you can see, the math one is the best example, and I think it's probably one of the most demanding. So it's got the Algebra 1 and 2 and the geometry. If those students have those credits from high school, we check that off the list and we move on to the next one, and they don't have to worry about taking math with us here at the college. Then they move on for the high school diploma portion. Let me clarify that. And then they move on to the English. And when I put English here, it's actually supposed to be English 1 and 2, as well as some sort of speech communication class. Checks that off the list. And then here, all they're looking for is 1 U.S. history class. So if for some reason they failed U.S. History 1, but still took U.S. History 2 and they were successful, then they would get that credit for OHSD. The sciences, again, just 3 sciences that they would need to showcase on their transcripts. And the one that we are finding that students have less and less of, and I can tell you this as a student who struggled through high school for a while there, that if you're not ahead, they don't put you in some of these CTE programs as a junior or a senior. So if they take some sort of CTE program at the high school level, they will get credit for the workplace success skills. So we have found that most of our students need the workplace success skills. This is the class that has been the most popular, and that's the one that when they finish that one, they're basically done with their high school diploma with us. And so we've been seeing great success. And of all of them, I think that this has been the class that has been laid out the most effectively for our students, making it flow to that point where they can finish in 3 weeks. You know, and I won't go back to the slide, but Rose Galindo has done a great job of setting this up so that it makes sense for students that have been out in the industry, have completed you know, portions of their high school all the way up to junior year maybe, and just needed a little extra to get across the finish line. Because again, the goal is to set these students up through CTE or career ready program, high school, the Opportunity High School Diploma, and use both of them and base them within industry practice. What do we see out in business and industry? So that's the framing that we take as we build these programs out. Again, here's some more examples of things that we offer. There are some programs that are completely offered online. I know there are some programs that are specifically CBE, so a student could do the CTE program completely online in Brightspace with the Tejano Flex team, with the guidance of Carmen and her counseling, getting them through those programs. And that list of 130 programs continues to grow. We continue to develop new programs. Like I said, next fall, we'll have that new program in MassCom. Dr. Hajar continues to create more and more allied health programs that help students and helps our community members get another little, little tidbit on their resume that could earn them potentially a few more dollars an hour, and that just builds up that ability throughout the course of their careers. So we have lots of opportunities, lots of places for students to pursue their degrees and start building up their resumes and getting out into the industry. If you haven't already, you can check out our website. It's up and running. If you do know of someone that is interested, you can send them to our website. Click that request information. It's at the very top of the page, and they can put their name, their information in there. We'll reach out to them, let them know that we're looking for the next cohort of 30 and getting them started for the summer. If they're not interested in joining us for the summer, they have some plans or something, we understand that. We'll also start building that fall registration. It's also starting up in about a month, right? So we want to build this program up, get those first about 90 students across the finish line by the end of the calendar year. The future of the program is still kind of pending in that students may need to pay for it themselves. The state is looking at acquiring funding for us to be able to offer it to our community. And I am actively continuing to look for grant opportunities so that students don't have to face that additional barrier of paying for a high school diploma and paying for credits so that they can get something out of the college in the form of an award, and then get them going on through there. So I see we have 2 hands raised. Carmen, do you want to jump in?
Yes, sir. I just wanna let our students know that they wanna find out more details about the program, including the full list of career and technical education. They can search in this website. It has a lot of good information. The tab where it says request information will allow us to collect important information of our prospective students, name, phone number, email, the last day or the last year they attend high school. So that way, by the time we return our phone call, we have appropriate, information, and we'll guide you more accordingly. Sometimes students, they just see this information, they scroll down and they call me, but they don't leave message, they don't leave, contact information, nothing. It just said, I need information about this program. But we can accelerate the process if they look into the programs, what specifically they are interested. It will be very helpful and beneficial for you, but we need that info in the spreadsheet so that way we can schedule an appointment. Okay. How long it does take to get a high school diploma? It all depends. We have some students, they were saying, I just didn't pass the task test for math. So in that case, we'll review the transcript, and the student may need only to take the math portion. So every student and every situation is different depending on the transcript. So that's why it is so important when students meet for the first time with the assigned counselors, they can take a copy of the hard copy of the transcript. From the beginning, if they have to do it all, that will be only 5 competencies in case they need. I have a student and she said, well, I moved out of town, I don't have access to my transcript. It has been 20 years. In that case, if they still want to obtain the high school diploma, it will take them the 5 competencies. But imagine if they finish in 3 or 4 weeks, they can move on to the next level and finish faster.
So I see we also have some more hands up. Does somebody want to ask their question? No, my screen's showing that there's 4 hands raised. So Okay.
Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes. Yep.
So one of my questions is, I noticed on your website some of it says it allows adults 18 and over, and then other sections say adult learners 24 and over. What's the difference between, like, if someone that's 22 wants to be part of OHSD versus someone who's like 35?
Well, so really there's no difference. We're not going to turn anyone away, but we're trying to be respectful of our big ISD partners that do have dropout recovery programs. And so I'll give you an example. I went and met with one of the principals at the rural high schools here in town, and she was telling me that she had students that would drop out, at 17, 18 years old, and they would go start working construction, and they realized that construction's hard work. Their back is hurting every day, their arms, their legs, and then they came back and said, hey, I'd like to come back to high school. And she would find out that they're 19 years old and they cannot serve those students once they are over 18 years old. So if they drop out and they try to return and they've reached adulthood, they cannot serve them in those rural schools. So that's an opportunity for us to build that partnership with them. They could enroll in OHSD. That high school principal is willing to open up her labs, until 7, 8 o'clock at night, so that those students can come in, complete their work, and then, go back to work in the morning, do what they need to do, go to classes, whatever else needs to be done, but to facilitate that high school diploma for them. But the bigger schools, we don't want them to think, the bigger school districts, we don't want them to think, hey, we're doing 18 years old, so as soon as they're 18, if they drop out, we'll take them, and then we're taking away their customers, basically. So we're trying to be respectful of them and keeping that partnership alive for both groups,
Okay, I see. Thank you so much.
Sure thing. Any other questions? I think we're coming up on time. Carmen, if there's anything else you'd like to share, here's the contact information for those of us that are really kind of running and gunning for Opportunity High School and getting our students enrolled, active in classes, and hopefully graduating with a high school diploma and some sort of award very soon.
And I just want to add, Guerra, to spread the word. If you have a brother, sister, cousin, nephew, even your parents, so everybody's welcome to come and get information. If it is not for you, it can be for somebody else who can benefit from this program.
Absolutely.
And there's no more further questions. We appreciate so much the invitation.
So that's
yes, the Tejano passport is in the chat.
Yes,
thank you so much, Dean Guerra and Ms. Gomez, for the wonderful presentation. If anybody has any further questions for our presenters, please feel free to turn on your mic or to use the chat box. For now, we would like to thank everyone for being a wonderful audience and for coming in today. Please remember that we do record these sessions, so if you would like to review or share anything from this presentation, those recorded sessions can definitely help. We did share the Tejano passport link so that everyone can receive their points for coming in today.
Okay.
But before you all leave, I want to share the TVE sessions for next week. We'll be back next week with Happy Math Hour at 11 a.m., where Math 1332 will cover numeration systems, place value systems, and base systems, and Math 2412 will cover vectors. Our 1 p.m. session next week will be from the Center for Students with Disabilities and the Writing Center. Thank you all for coming in today. We hope everyone has a restful and safe weekend. If you have any questions, feel free to use the chat box or your mic, and we hope to see you all again for Tejano virtual events.